right. Got all green check marks. We're ready to rumble.
Hey, William, do you know we're also in LinkedIn now, too?
I know that now.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Hello, everyone in Facebook and LinkedIn. This is Barb Provo at Purse Strings, and we're so glad to be bringing to you today William Pitney. As many of you know, Purse Strings provides free online tools and resources to make smart financial decisions for women. And we bring you this amazing list of top tier financial professionals like William, all things professional. So whether you need an attorney, you need a coach, you need a, business coach, divorce coach, any kind of coach, you need a realtor, a lender, a financial advisor, financial planner, PNC agent. Anytime a woman needs to come and make a financial either decision, investment, transaction, wants to noodle some ideas around, maybe plan for retirement, they can come right to Purse Strings, pursestrings.co. And we have for you a list of amazing, what we call our Purse Strings approved professionals who are ready, willing, and able to serve a female market. And I always say we don't take all comers. It's by invite only, referral, and we really talk through it and see if those are the people we want in our community, and William is one of them. So we're so glad he's here today to present to us. And I will let Maggie take it away and provide some introduction as well.
Yeah, give me one more second. I'm just making sure this is going all good. I don't know
Yeah.
why it's being a little funky, but that's cool.
Well, it's early in the week. It's a Monday. So, and it's the weather here in Chicago. We're gearing up for a big rainstorm. And what's a bummer about that is the Sox won this amazing game last night. So they're still in the playoffs and they have a game today, but I think they're postponing it because this bad weather is coming through. So
knew we'd get a baseball report from you.
I know. I'm a baseball fan. I can't help it. I'm truly a Cub fan. And funny side note, my son called me an hour ago and said he got a call from the Chicago Cubs. When he was 12 years old, he put his name on the ticket list for Chicago Cub tickets, and he's gotten to the top of the list. And he's like, Mom, you want to buy some baseball tickets with me? So he said it was fun to see Chicago Cubs come up on his cell phone. The Chicago Cubs were calling him. I'm like, hey, maybe they want you to pitch. Who knows? So so that was a fun conversation this morning. But yeah, but Sox are still a Chicago team. So I'm always rooting for baseball.
Glad we got that in there. We'll just get started here, learning about some retirement though, and I'll just introduce William. William Pitney is a financial planner, coach, and founder of Focus U. He holds several professional designations, including CFP and Chartered Life Underwriter. William is passionate about working with women and families to achieve their financial and life goals and aspirations and protect their lifestyles. He became a financial planner after witnessing the devastating effects and poor advice had his mother-in-law following the death of her husband. William's guiding principle is that you've done the best you can with what you know. You're an expert at what you do, not in personal finance, which I love. William fosters non-judgmental, shame-free environment where you can share whatever financial challenges are weighing you down. He calls it no guilt zone. He welcomes those to increase their financial security and confidence. So we are so glad you are here today, William. Yay. And with that, I'm just going to give you the floor.
All right. Thank you, Barb, and thank you, Maggie, and Purse Strings for the opportunity to speak. We're here today to help you gain a clearer view of the financial world. And please note that the content I'm sharing today is for educational purposes. Please contact your advisor or other professional about your specific situation. To begin, I want to say thanks to everyone for being here, and I will have a question for you. When it comes to your money, what makes you happiest? 87% of Americans agree that nothing makes them happier or more confident than feeling like their finances are in order. Financial security creates options, and options empower people to live life on their terms. To help my clients organize their financial lives and understand what's truly important to them, we consider 8 broad areas of their financial life. Each of these 8 areas has some commonly accepted financial rules, from how much to save, how much to spend, and even about talking with your family about your own money situation. Today, we're going to explore the 3 most common or the 3 most known rules that people discuss when they come into my office.
Hey, William.
Yes.
So the slides aren't appearing quite right. Could you just refresh them and then maybe they'll pop up again? Thanks.
I can do that. Sorry about that.
No worries. Just a little slight pause here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see here.
Stop sharing and I'll reshare. Okay.
Awesome. That sounds great. So excited to see everyone tuning in today. Oh, and here we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Right.
We got it going.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So to help my clients organize their financial lives and understand what's truly important to them, we consider 8 broad areas of their financial life. Each of these 8 areas has some commonly accepted rules, but how much you need to save and how much to spend. But we're going to focus primarily on 3 rules to cover each of these areas. Today's agenda, we're going to look at the overall financial journey that we all take over the course of our lifetime. Next, we'll look at the 3 commonly accepted financial rules, the most common, retirement and investment, and then we'll leave time for some Q&A. When we look at the financial journey that we all take, the first thing we want to do is look at our overall life horizon, but then we look at the primary objectives. And that primary objective is to achieve financial independence. And for many people, that's retirement. For other people, that's an earlier age. But then once we've achieved financial independence, our second objective is to maintain our financial independence, our sense of dignity and sense of self. Along the way, we all want to enjoy the journey. Many of us, we share similar goals, which may be taking vacations, getting married and starting a family, buying a home or renovating a home, paying for college for our children, grandchildren, and even for ourselves, maybe even starting a business. Many of us also have post-retirement goals, whether it's an extended cruise or vacation or world tour. Maybe it's traveling around the US and North America, living abroad, or maybe retiring into our dream home, celebrating life's milestones, whether it's a 60th or 70th birthday, a 25th wedding anniversary, and a host of other goals. While each of our lifetimes follows different patterns, the decisions and questions are remarkably similar. Can I afford to buy that dream home? Should I leave my career to start something new? Can I afford to retire now? As of right now, today, many of you have saved some money, and along your journey, you continue to save and invest to grow your own personal nest egg, with the hope that at the end of our lives, we can leave some money either to our family or to a charity. Along that journey, we also want to address potential contingencies as well. There are pre-retirement concerns during our primary working years. The contingencies include premature death, a long-term disability, potential of divorce if we get married, unemployment, and other disruptions. Other disruptions include things such as periods of multiple job changes, underemployment, or even relocations.
Hey, Willie.
Yes.
Will you send me these slides and I'll post them because they don't seem to be pulling up quite right. We'll just take a 1-minute break and you can send them over.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
That sounds great.
Okay.
We just want to make sure everyone can get all this clear information because we know it's going to be good stuff.
Hi, William. Great information. Unfortunately, the slides weren't loading, so we want to make sure we just don't. We want to make sure we take the time we need to make sure we are on the right page with the right slides, because I think you have great information to share and terrific slides. So due to the darn bandwidth issue, sometimes they don't load correctly, and so if Maggie does it, then what we can do is load the slides on her end while you present, and she can, what we call drive the slides.
And that's fine. Technology happens.
Yeah, and as you know, we are Mercury is in retrograde, which really causes a lot of technology faux pas. So we got to run with it.
Oh, no worries. Been there, done that.
Yeah, I know. So we just want our audience to know that that's what we're taking a technology break so that we can get it lined up.
Okay, so give me just a moment.
Yep, take your time. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, as they say.
Ready?
I'll just let people know that Purse Strings is here. We're in two 50 plus and fabulous and 50 a life redesign Facebook groups at this point, and in LinkedIn. So we're thrilled to be bringing this information to this group. We know planning for retirement is can be stressful for some, and that's why we're providing these excellent tools and resources, professionals that are at your fingertips that you can find at pursestrings.co. And at Purse Strings, we also have little booklets and guides that are specific to retirement. They're also specific to lots of other topics. In our Facebook group, we have our own Facebook group. We welcome anyone to join. It's Facebook for Financially Fearless Women.
Purse Strings for Financially Fearless Women.
That's what I love about you, Max, keeping me on the straight and narrow. But the other cool thing about when you join that group, right at the top of the group, you can download a free online course called Financial Foundations for Women. It's a self-directed with little tutorials and worksheets. And what that course does is it allows you to really get your financial foundations in order. So some people say, Barb, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. Start with this great course that we have that's, again, free, right for the taking in our Facebook group. And it's online, so self-directed, and we walk you through how to configure your cash flow. And that's just money coming into your household and money going out. It also helps you figure out what your financial foundations are in terms of your net worth. So how much do you own and how much do you owe? We walk through all of that. We help you think about, where do your money thoughts and ideas come from? Because many times it's, the household that you've been brought up in, the culture that you have, and for women, oftentimes we didn't talk about money because that was taboo. Or in our culture, we didn't talk about money, or it wasn't ladylike. You didn't ask people what they spent on things or how much they earned, things like that. And in some households, money is stressful. It leads to a stressful conversation. So that's another reason why oftentimes we don't talk about money. But at Purse Strings, as we say, that all stops with Purse Strings. We're here to talk about money. We're here to talk about your retirement. Hey, Maggie, it looks like you're up and running.
I am. I can start presenting and we can get back at it. Speaking of learning about money.
I know. Learning about money and retirement, which is critical. So you ready? Good to go, William?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Meg, if you can put it in slide presentation mode, that would be great. And if you want me to start over, just tell me to start over and I can begin there.
I'll push it live and we can start right here. How's that sound?
That sounds great. If you could put it in slide
Yep.
presenter mode, that'll be great. Thanks.
Is this not working?
No, it's still in like edit mode. It's not in slideshow mode.
Okay, give me one. That's still in edit mode?
No, I'm not seeing you sharing any slides.
Oh. Let's see here. Sorry about this.
Oh, no worries. Technology happens. Okay.
Sorry, is that still not right?
If you can click slideshow at the top and then hit presentation, it's in the middle.
Right here?
Oh,
slideshow.
Yeah, and then just say from the current slide is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, think it may be moving to another screen because it's not moving into the slideshow mode.
It's not?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. This isn't right?
No, because all I see is the screen with the slides in edit mode. I don't see the slideshow mode.
Okay, I don't know how to fix this.
Click slideshow. Yeah, so click slideshow. And you may need to tell it to be on one monitor rather than two. So click the monitors at the far right. So go back to the screen you're on the far right in the bar. It said monitors.
Okay.
Click come down and then drop and then uncheck presenter view and then do that and see what it does. Yeah, I have no idea if it's moving to another screen or not.
I don't have another screen. That's not there?
It's still not there.
Okay, well.
Okay. Well, what I will do, given the time, I will ask you to skip ahead to slide number 12.
Here you go.
Or 13. I think it should be, yeah. Yeah. So every day on your financial journey, you make financial decisions in many areas of your life, from your personal savings and investments in retirement to insurance and credit. And if you're a business owner, you also have to make decisions about who to hire and when to spend money. And many of the small details over the course of your life, they start to add up to major challenges, and they often befuddle and confuse so-called experts. And many are often overwhelmed, or everyday people are overwhelmed with all the different little areas that can start to add up. There's been a lot of research and surveys and studies that show that a very large percentage of the US population is unprepared to make these decisions. 2/3, or nearly 70% of all Americans, find it difficult to choose between spending now versus saving for later. And I assume that a lot of people can relate to this. And I would tell you, as a financial professional, I have to make those decisions as well. And one of the reasons making these decisions and trade-offs can be overwhelming, it's especially because we're juggling a number of competing goals and objectives. Maggie, if you can skip 2 slides to number 15. Yeah, perfect. And the media, they make it even worse. Americans say the news causes them stress, and many report feeling anxiety, fatigue, and many lose sleep because of what they hear on the news. And this can generally reduce your ability to really enjoy life, and can also affect your health, both physically and mentally. And this is problematic. And in recent months, the media is constantly bombarding us with the coming recession, inflation fears, and the stock market crash. This chatter isn't anything new. Most people think that these news stories are recent because they can only recall what they see in the news in the recent months. The reality, most of these stories and the forecast about the coming recession and the stock market crash date back as far as 2011, over 10 years ago. Next slide, Maggie. And what I like to tell people is you get these talking heads, they will get on the news when the recession does come and say, I told you so, see, I was right. And the normally reliable blowhards will take credit for predicting the recession because they appear to be correct in that moment, when in fact it was by accident. And as I learned a long time ago, a broken clock is right twice a day. So why do we focus on the negative? Next slide, Maggie. There's research done by Loretta Bruning. She's a PhD professor emerita of management at the California State University, East Bay. And she's the author of Habits of a Happy Brain. And she said the human brain is attracted to troubling information because it is programmed to detect threats, not to overlook them. Our brain is predisposed to go negative, and the news we consume reflects this. Next slide, Maggie. So the next thing we're going to cover are the 3 most common financial rules that I see people implement. Next slide, Maggie. Nearly everyone I've met who's used one or more of these rules is lulled into a false sense of security. Let me pause for a moment and talk about using mathematical shortcuts. Next slide. Engineers and other trained professionals, they use a variety of shortcuts or estimation rules to help them deal with the complex mathematical situations. The most important thing to point out here is that these professionals understand the complexities in the calculations. So for them, the most useful and gratifying rules of estimation are, next slide, simple enough to be handled by mental arithmetic. And when it comes to personal finance, however, these commonly accepted financial rules are used by way too many people who do not understand the detailed arithmetic, especially when it comes to planning out more than 3 to 5 years. Others attempt to use the shortcuts because they do not take the time for in-depth planning. Some financial rules are rough guidelines for simple day-to-day decisions, but when it comes to long-term planning, too many financial rules, next slide, they oversimplify complex issues in ways that can harm long-term financial results. The use of these overly simplistic financial rules makes it impossible for everyday people to understand the complexities involved. Skip ahead 2 slides, Maggie. I frequently hear so-called gurus echo that personal finance is not rocket science. This may be true, yet like rocket science, a minor mistake can be, next slide, disastrous. Managing personal finance and doing financial planning are difficult and complex because they involve humans, and they affect individuals and families in unexpected ways, from the mental and emotional to the physical, the financial, and the range of human experiences in between. Now we're going to examine the most common rules and shared as conventional wisdom. Next slide. Rule number 1. This is the most common. And we want to talk about these rules. And in particular, I want to get this one out of the way because no one really wants to talk about it. And in this case, most people have heard the rule they should have 5 to 7 times their annual income in life insurance. If you can skip ahead, Maggie, 2 slides. People own life insurance for many reasons. The top 5 reasons include paying off mortgages and other debts should the breadwinner pass away prematurely, making sure the family can survive and be okay, especially in the months and years immediately following death, making sure that children can go to college or trade school, providing ongoing support for other family members who need support, and for business owners to fund buy-sell agreements and other succession strategies. Next slide, Maggie. Now we're going to look at an example of how this rule works and the potential consequences. Next slide. So let's assume that the breadwinner makes $100,000 a year. Next slide. They contribute 10% of their income to the 401k plan. And we're going to talk about this 10% rule a little bit later when we get to retirement savings. And the family's combined tax rate is 30%. This includes Social Security and FICA and Medicare taxes, federal and state income taxes if you have them, as well as your itemized deductions. So on an annual basis, they have $60,000 to consume. Right? And using the 5%, the 5 to 7 times rule, we use 7 in this case, the breadwinner needs $700,000 to live on. Now, if we look at what happens when the breadwinner passes away, we assume $10,000 for funeral expenses. In the next slide, we assume that there's a $200,000 mortgage balance, and we know that the mortgage balance can range quite a bit depending on where you live. Many places it's $400,000 to $500,000, and here in the San Francisco Bay Area, it could be $1 or $2 million or more. Again, yours could be higher or lower. You're going to pay off some consumer debt. Maybe you put a little bit of money aside for college expenses. So that, to keep things simple, we assume that there's $300,000 of final expenses to make sure the family's okay, and that leaves $400,000 to live on. Next slide. So with that $400,000, the family now has an income need of $60,000. And the question is, how long will that money last? In this case, if we just use simple math, we say 400,000 divided by 60, that's 6 years and 8 months. Now, if we go to the next slide, if you invested at 3% annually, that would last 7 years and 3 months. And given today's environment, we know that 3% on a conservative portfolio, that's pretty aggressive. I have some people say, well, hey, William, you can invest more aggressively. But what we do know is when families lose a loved one, they don't want to experience any additional losses in their life. So they want guaranteed income. In the days when CD rates and bank savings rates were higher, that's where people would put the money. And unfortunately, most of those accounts are generating near zero return these days. Others may assert that $60,000 is more than the family would need. But what we do know, overall household expenses remain constant following death, because if you have children, you may need to take on additional child care and other expenses around the household. Right? Next slide. So someone can say, hey, we don't want to pay off the house, or we don't want to fund 100% of college. Instead, we just want to provide an ongoing income. We're going to skip ahead a couple of slides, Maggie. All right, great. So in this case, we assume that the family spends, there's $25,000 that they would have to use to cover funeral expenses and maybe pay off a credit card or two. And if you skip ahead a couple more slides, Maggie, until perfect right there. What this says is, I know that most families, when they meet with me, they typically have between $250,000 and about $500,000 on their primary breadwinners. If they want to generate income, in this case, they need the money to last just 10 years on a $500,000 policy. That generates about $4,500 a month, or a little around $53,000 per year. If they need the money to last 20 years, that's about $2,500 a month, or $30,000 a year. And if they need to last 30 years, that's about $1,800 a month, or $22,000 annually. And what I'm trying to show you here is you have choices, but we always need to make sure that we fully understand what the family's needs are. So this rule doesn't work because it fails to consider differences in families and their expectations. It neglects the stay-home parent. It discounts a working spouse and ignores other reasons. Next slide. Instead, a better approach is to understand what the family's immediate income needs are going to be, what they need to cover expenses in the long term. If they're going to pay for college or trade school for one of their children, this is a much better approach. All right. Now I want to talk about the next rule, which is the retirement savings rule. And in this one, I want you to get yourself ready. We're going to skip ahead a couple of slides. Most people ask the question, how much should I be saving? I think a better question is, how much will a comfortable retirement cost? If you're currently investing and you're company's retirement plan, that's a great start. But do you know how much you will need? If you have not calculated your future needs, you're not alone. More than half of all working adults have never even tried to calculate what they need. So people rely on some of these rules. When you look at what people are trying to accomplish, they have lots of goals. But what we want to do is think about the shift in retirement income planning. Years ago, there were 3 ways people took care of retirement. They had a pension, they got Social Security, and then they had some personal savings. But what we do know that each year we're becoming increasingly responsible for the bulk of our own retirement. Politicians continue debating the future of Social Security and Medicare. Traditional pension plans are gone out the door, and now they offer 401ks and 403bs, and we're responsible for the outcome. The employer is off the hook. Next slide, Maggie. With the slide that you see on the screen here, sorry that you can't see it all, but if you look at 1998, what you see, I want you to look at the dark blue area that says 21%. That is the amount of earned income retirees have to generate to cover their expenses. And if you look at 2008, and I'm sorry it's faded out, we can see that that amount increased to 30%, the bottom part. And in 2015, it was 34%. And what we see is an uncertain future, but what we do know is that earned income from wage labor is becoming more and more important to help people support their retirement plans. Next slide. The census tells us that most people, when they retire, they will live 20 to 30 years or more in retirement. This is much longer than probably your parents or your grandparents lived. And in many cases, there are active lifestyle things that you want to do. Working out, spending time with neighbors and friends and family, or maybe even being very creative. And what we do know, if we skip to the next slide, Maggie, is that there is a possibility that you may live 35 to 45 years more in retirement. And from a woman's standpoint, what we do know is after age 85, there are twice as many women alive as there are men. Skip 2 slides, Maggie. So we're going to jump right into the income rules. The first rule is the income replacement rule that says you need 60% to 80% of your gross income or your pre-retirement income to be successful. Next slide. There's the rule that's called earned income, 10%. This was the one I used in the life insurance example above. The next rule says you need a nest egg of at least $1 million to be able to retire comfortably. And then the next is the multiple of income rule. I've seen everything from 10 times, 16 times, and 20 times. Next slide. And what we do know, that's a lot of rules. Which rules should you choose? And instead of these rules being helpful, they actually create more anxiety and fear, and they can make your head explode. I've done the math, and even though I thought about walking you through some basic examples of how dramatically different the answers are, I realized that that would just cause stress. So instead, what I want to do is, next slide, the key here is to understand that income is not important. That's the fallacy of those other rules. They don't spend any time talking about expenses. But what we do know is that it's not what you earned. It's not how much you saved. It is what you need in order to live the retirement that you prefer. Skip ahead to 2 slides, Maggie. What we do know is that many people, as we start to earn a little bit more, will live a little nicer life versus when we were in college, cold pizza and top ramen, those were acceptable. Now, I don't know any retiree who intentionally decided that they're going to go back to living their college years in their retirement years. Next slide, Maggie. So going into retirement, there are some questions that we have to answer. Will you pay off your mortgage, or will you have an ongoing mortgage payment? Next slide. Will you live in a high cost area or a lower cost area? Next slide. Do you have plans on traveling internationally, or maybe just traveling domestically, or maybe no travel plans at all? Next slide. Or do you plan to maintain an active lifestyle, or will you be a homebody and spend a lot of time watching television? And then from a medical standpoint, will you have high medical bills, or will you live a healthy lifestyle? Next slide. These different rules, they fail to consider differences in family expectations. They ignore lifestyle. They disregard what's happened with pensions, and they overlook life expectancy. A better solution is everyone's retirement is different. So we need to understand what you need, what you want to accomplish, and other big celebrations and milestones that you want to celebrate. This is a much better approach. And then we're going to touch on the last rule, which is the investment mix. Skip 2 slides, Maggie. I've seen 2 variations of the rule. One is take the number 100 or 110 or 120 minus your current birthday or your current age. And another rule is 110 minus your age times 125. And people have come to me saying, hey, shouldn't we be getting more conservative as we get a little bit older? Well, if we can skip to the next slide, Maggie. What I want to do is compare the 2 extremes of the rule, 100 minus your age versus 110 minus your age times 125. And this will tell us the amount of stocks and bonds you should have. Next slide. So first, we're going to look at that age 25-year-old. If you look at the percentage stock in the left column, 75%, versus stocks in the right column, you can see that these are dramatically different portfolios for a 25-year-old. And if you're a young adult, how will you know which one to choose? Next slide, Maggie. We're looking at the age 65-year-old, and then we can see that the portfolios are dramatically different here as well. On the positive side, we can see a lot of 401ks and 403bs now offer age-based or what we call target date funds. Positive side, these funds eliminate your need to construct and monitor your portfolio. On the other hand, however, these age-based approaches assume investors of the same age are identical, the same time horizon, the same risk tolerance and expectations. When your time horizon is understood, along with the purpose, the investment mix could be very different. For example, a 25-year-old could be investing to buy a house in the next 3 to 5 years, while the 65-year-old has more than enough for retirement, so they're investing for their grandkids 20 to 30 years or more into the future. In these examples, we can see that the mixes you see on the screen here just aren't appropriate. Skip ahead a couple of slides, Maggie. So in this case, and go back one more. So in this case, we see 2 couples. They're identical. They're age 55, and they both want to retire at age 60 or 65. But they've been influenced by their families in unpredictable ways. The couple on the left side, their parents and grandparents were greatly affected by the Great Depression, and they have a negative view of the stock market. Whereas the couple on the right, their grandparents also went through the Great Depression, but they have a much more positive view of the stock market. We can skip 2 slides, Maggie. So when we did their planning, we was able to say, hey, to retire at age 65, you need a moderate portfolio, 60% stocks and 40% bonds. But they also communicated that it'll be great to be able to retire a little bit sooner. So next slide, Maggie. I presented an alternative and said, hey, you can be a little bit more aggressive on the portfolio and you'll be able to retire at age 62. The optimistic couple said, let's do it. They're willing to take on a little bit more risk because they did not want to work beyond age 65. In contrast, next slide, the fearful couple, they were unwilling to take on more risk. Matter of fact, they were willing to work an additional 5 years and give up potential for higher rates of return if it meant that they would not lie awake worrying about the stock market. In fact, this couple, because they were so risk adverse, it meant that they were willing to work those additional 5 years and would not have to worry about the sharp decline. So again, people of the same age, very different expectations. So we can skip ahead a couple of slides, Maggie. Perfect. So U.S. life expectancies increased, and we can see that the average in the U.S. is about 78 years. Women live longer, men live a little less. Skip ahead several slides, Maggie, till you get to the man and the woman. Perfect. What we do know is that the number of centenarians is increasing in the U.S. In 1950, there were 2,300 Americans aged 100 or older. In 2010, there were over 53,000, 23 times more. And by 2050, there will be nearly 400,000 U.S. centenarians. And what we do know is people age 100 or over, women are 4 times more than the men. Let me repeat that. Of the centenarians, there are 4 times as many women as there are men. Next slide. Additional concerns for women. If you have a family, you spend 17 plus years caring for children. If your parents are alive, you spend about 18 years assisting your parents, and the possibility you will outlive your spouse by 15 years. At some point in their lives, 80 to 90% of women will be solely responsible for their own finances. And frequently, women put their own family needs ahead of their own needs. Next slide. So I don't use these financial rules because they do not provide you what you need. They ignore differences in families and expectations. They disregard risk preferences. They overlook inflation, and they do an injustice to life expectancy. 2 slides ahead, Maggie. Everyone's investment profiles are different. First thing you need to do is understand your risk preferences, and then run scenarios to understand the outcomes of different portfolios on your retirement and other life aspirations. And then we need to know what's feasible and what's impossible. This is the only way to really understand what's going on. Next slide. So hopefully I've shown you that the life insurance, the retirement savings, and investment rules that are commonly shared as conventional wisdom just don't work. Next slide. Pretty sure that you do not use a cookie cutter approach for most decisions in your life. So why should you use a cookie cutter approach to managing your personal finances? Wouldn't you prefer to structure a life that's based around, wouldn't you prefer to structure finances based on your life and who you are? Sure. So these rules get a big fat no thank you from me. So the key takeaways: forget the rules, know your actual situation, and calculate your numbers. Next slide. And what we've discovered is people who run their numbers, they tend to be more confident about retirement than those who do not. And next on the agenda is questions and answers. So if there are questions and answers, Maggie, please share.
All right, that was great. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information.
Yeah, and I'm sorry we couldn't get the slides to work. It's okay.
I know, we got it now though, so it's like that sometimes. Let me see if there are any questions here. But I loved how you touched on all those different facts of, we're not all the same, and we really do have to look at our own personal goals that we have and what we really want to do.
Yeah, and earlier when I pointed out the 8 areas early in the slides, talking about the areas that we help our clients with, we go through each one of those, and through our process, we actually spend more time on the qualitative aspects of who you are, your values, your beliefs, your behaviors, so that we can fully understand how to apply the quantitative things. I discovered that when we spend enough time on the qualitative things, people have a greater sense of confidence. I could run a bunch of quantitative things and say, hey, here's the numbers, this is what you need to do. But you're an adult, you're going to decide. I can't tell you what to do. So I like to understand who you are so that we can build a plan that works for you.
Definitely. One of our questions is, when is a good time to start kind of planning some of this and kind of building out this dream that you have? I mean, of course, always investing when you start young, but really laying out more of this framework.
Yeah, what I have discovered in my own career is that somewhere between age 40 and 45 is when you really start engaging with professionals. It's never too late. I have a number of people who don't come to me until they're in their early to mid 50s, and I have some that come a little bit later. But for the most part, the sooner we know what it is you're trying to achieve, that gives us more time to make the necessary adjustments. I will share with you, I had one couple about a decade ago, they're still with me. They came in, they had 3 different advisors. All of those advisors were really focused on the portfolio. And she said, what do you have to sell me? I said, I don't have to sell you anything. I'm just here to help you plan. Anyway, the other advisors told them that they would never be able to retire. They'd have to sell their home here in the San Francisco Bay Area and move to Reno, Nevada. And the couple would have to work until age 70. And she said, is this true? I said, I have no idea. I don't have enough information to know what's going on. Well, when we started working together, the first thing I did, I looked at their mortgage. We refinanced the mortgage. This was back in 2011. They were paying 8%. We got them down to like 3%. That freed up about $1,500 a month. They needed life insurance. We got them the life insurance for like $300 a month or something. So that freed up $1,000 a month for them to do other things with. We ran the analysis, and I said, you don't have to move to Reno. You can stay in the home where you raised your daughter, and your grandson comes over all the time. You can retire at age 67, and your husband never has to go back to work. Well, she retired at 64, and they've been retired for 6 years now, and life is good. And it was all because we understood what they were trying to achieve, all the income sources, and we gave them options to choose.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's why, we love to give this general education out there, but, every situation, you have to go talk to a professional. You have to tell them, your kind of life story and what your goals are. If that's, gifting every year to your kids, or if that's, making sure everyone goes on a family trip, or you just want to make sure you stay in your house. It's just it depends on you.
Yeah. And frequently I have people come in and they just refuse. I don't have any goals. But we realize they have goals, but no one has shown them how to accomplish it. So in their minds, nothing is accomplishable.
Yeah,
so what we like to do is just, we take time and we walk them through, and I say, here's what you're trying to achieve, and here's ways to do it. Recently, I had a young lady, she's in her mid-30s, and she said, William, I don't have any goals. Well, she had a goal, but she never believed it was possible because in her family, there were a lot of money issues. Mm-hmm. Well, she wanted to earn a license. And I said, when do you want to earn it by? So we did the math, and I showed her, if you're going to take a decade to get this license, you just need to save like $300 a month. She said, I can do that. I said, it's much easier than focusing on the 50,000 you need down the road, right? She said, right. Yeah, it is. So it's just shifting the time frame, and it made all the difference for her. And all of a sudden, she got enthusiastic. She said she's going for it. And instead of waiting 10 years, she'll probably get the license in 5 years.
You're like a genie. You just tell them your goal and you just make it happen.
Well, I got to understand the emotional part. And once I understand the emotional behavior part, as I like to say, if it wasn't for the people doing the quantitative part, it would be easy. But it's the qualitative, it's the emotional, human part that makes it a little more difficult. So you just have to take the time to understand who they are and where they're coming from, their history. And once you understand that, then you can say, these are the things you do really well. And here's some ways to help you achieve those other things that you thought were impossible. Yeah. So again, it's just about giving people choice.
This is why he's our purse strings approved professional.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that right there.
I thought it was such a cool approach to kind of throw out all those thumbnail kind of ballpark calculations that people feel like, oh, I don't fit into that. I don't have enough money. I'll never be able to. I can't get 10 times my whatever, and step back and say, let's just not take a look at that. Let's take a look at you and your situation and your income and your goals and what you want. And, that's what I saw come through in this presentation. And I love that approach because we're not cookie cutter people, and we all have different lives. And especially with COVID, our lives have been turned upside down. And so many people realize what's important to them, have shaken so many things up financially, emotionally, with our families. And I think we need to all step back and say we have individual goals, needs, desires, circumstances that need to be taken a look at as individuals and not as a cookie cutter. So thank you for bringing that whole idea to this whole retirement discussion.
It's my pleasure. And I will say I have two things that I tell everyone who comes in. First thing is, shut off the financial media. Just turn it off. The news will make you think you're going crazy and it gets you all worked up. You can't sleep and stuff. I will tell you, I took a news break. I stopped watching television broadcast news about a decade ago. I will read, but it made a significant difference. I was able to sleep better. Yeah. And because I was reading, it took out all the visuals and the audio that, get you all worked up. And then the second thing is I tell my clients, do not compare yourself to what you think is normal or average. We're all different. So once we know what it is you're aspired to achieve, that becomes what you measure yourself against. Where did you start and where are you today? So I want people to see the progress. Comparing what your neighbor is doing and what your cousin is doing, it just creates unnecessary stress. The comparison will kill you every time.
Well, they say comparison is the thief of joy. So I agree. Yes. So thank you so much, William, for all of your expertise. And even though we had a few technology blips in the beginning, we made it happen. Your slides are great. I love the one with all the calculations on it. So intimidating. But they were great. And your message is wonderful. So thank you.
Okay. It's my pleasure.
All right. And everybody will be back here again next Monday at 1:30. You could always reach out to William at info@focusu.com. He's the founder of FocusU. He's also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals. So you can check him out on our website, pursestrings.co. Please reach out to us or William if you have any questions. We're always here for you. Talk to everyone soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks, William.